Focusing on the Asian vectors for a moment, let me point to two. One in particular is what you might call the new Silk Roads, right? And so many are familiar with this concept, this idea that Europe and Asia, and even Africa, that used to form this system known as the Afro-Eurasian system, the pre-Columbian world, before the discovery of the Western Hemisphere, was effectively the Afro-Europe-Asia maritime and terrestrial Silk Road system. That world is coming back in a very big way. And so you have the Asian populations that have moved not prominently into the Gulf, but now even further to Europe. I spent some time when I was a teenager living in Germany. And at the time, near Hamburg, there were very few Indians. There were very few Indian Americans. There were Turks, to the extent that there were Asian minority populations at all. And of course, everyone just thought I was Turkish for lack of an imagination that there might be an Indian there. Go back there today, and what do you see? Go back to any part of Germany, and you're going to find a lot more Indians than were there 25 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. The complexion of societies is changing so rapidly, even in the countries that gave us the notion of the nation state, the idea of the ethnically homogeneous state defined by the pure, unified ethnic group that defines that state. Almost all major economies in the world, at least in the Anglophone world, have become immigrant societies. So the term Indian American was quite common, or Asian American, but Asian European is not a term you hear at all. And yet if you go to Europe today, you see an entire generation, whether they're Indian, whether they're Vietnamese, Chinese, Korean, who have now grown up in Europe, and you have this blending, this ethnic blending going on around the world. And it's also happening pushing northward. We were on a family holiday traveling through Uzbekistan a few years ago, in Kazakhstan. And who did we encounter everywhere was trainfuls, quite literally, of Indian tourist groups. When an international school opens up in Kazakhstan and they're looking for English teachers, where do they recruit them from? From India, right? And when you need a new ophthalmology clinic, when you need a dental clinic, where do you recruit your doctors, nurses, and so forth from? And going back to the point about the age gap between old and young, when you need nurses, now we commonly see in European countries and certainly in North America, Filipino nurses. But the Philippines will soon have a shortage of the number of young nurses that it can export around the world. Well, I know a country, and I think you do too, that has 10 times the population of the Philippines, right? That can train young women, young men in nursing, in elderly care, and a wide range of other professions, and circulate them around the world and send remittances back. Can you think of which country that is? Yes. So it never stops. It never stops. And this is just a taste. This is just the past quarter century. And which force is telling you that this is simply going to stop and reverse when it's just literally hitting overdrive?